You're live with BBC News. Now we're going to head to the US. A man has been exonerated for a murder he didn't commit after nearly 50 years behind bars. 70-year-old Glynn Simmons was freed in July when a judge in Oklahoma ordered a new trial. In an order on Tuesday, the judge declared him innocent of the 1974 murder of Carolyn Sue Rogers during a liquor store robbery. He was 22 years old when he and a co-defendant were convicted and sentenced to death in 1975. He served 48 years in prison, the longest wrongful sentence ever in the US. And earlier, I spoke to his defence attorney, Joseph Norwood. He gave me his client's reaction.
Obviously, elation. The thought of being confined in prison for 50 years for something you had nothing to do with has to just be one of the worst things on a person's mental state there could be. And ending that was just elation for him. And it is mixed. As he was being released, he was also diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and he's going through chemo treatment right now. So it was a mix of elation, gaining his freedom, gaining his name back, clearing his name. But he's on the mend on the cancer also. Things are going well on that end. So it's been a heck of a ride.
A heck of a ride, absolutely. And so what happened then? What changed? What was the evidence or lack of evidence that meant he could be exonerated?
So at Glynn's trial in June of 1975 in Oklahoma City, the evidence against him was a single witness, eyewitness, that says he was the perpetrator of the robbery murder. Unfortunately, at that trial, there was a report that was not turned over to him that was discovered 2 decades later that said the eyewitness that IDs him did not ever ID him. She ID'd 2 other people, and the report that indicated she identified 2 other people was withheld from Mr. Simmons and his co-defendant at their trial. And so the single piece of evidence against him, this one eyewitness, turned out she wasn't, what she said wasn't true. I don't know that she was lying. There was a lot that went on between the lineup report that was withheld from Mr. Simmons and when she got in court. But she got in court and said she ID'd him in a lineup, and it turns out she did not. That lineup report was withheld from him and discovered 2 decades later. And so that report was the impetus of going back into court and proving his innocence.
And just very, very briefly, because we are out of time, unfortunately, but the length of time, you said it was a couple of decades later. Well, there's still another couple of decades since then. Is it just
Right.
how long it takes, or could it have been faster?
Well, to be very frank, he didn't have counsel that brought his case forward in a convincing manner until I came on, and he hired me in 2019, and I brought the same case that had actually been brought before. For the most part, we just brought it in a manner that was more compelling and had a few extra aspects to it. But really, it was just a matter of getting back into court in a manner that was clear that he was innocent.
An extraordinary story there from the US.